My name is Larry Boudreau, and welcome to the Ancient Forest Chun Whudujut Provincial Park, BC's newest provincial park. So let's first have a big hand for the, I'll pronounce this right, I think, the Castan drummers. Thank you very much, folks. So we'll get right into it. First, I'd like to invite up Edie Frederick to do a prayer. She's from an elder from the Claytley Tenay. Edie, if you would.
Snachalya. So before I start my prayer, in Dakat, what we usually do is we introduce ourselves. So when we introduce ourselves, we mention who we are descendant of. So on my father's side, I am descendant of Mary Kwa, who is better known as 6 Mile Mary. On my mother's side, I'm a descendant of Chani, which means Martin. So that's who I am. I am Claytley. So I will say this prayer in our language and then I'll do it in English. Yagatsta. Du chat zen hunzu ne ganin ayanet nina chat zatni. And dana dane ne habal shayando. Sucho habal wongle. Ti wakat chanto wakat et sucho habawongle. Zahundi wazatel. Tibet zahundi wazatel. Ne zodelti ne keo wakat. I would say, Creator, thank you for this beautiful day that you have given us. We just ask that everyone would be safe, all the travelers on the road, the people that's gonna walk through the forest. And we ask, we say, we are honored by your presence. We are honored with your acknowledgments of us. I would say, Amen.
Thank you very much, Edie. So next I'd like to welcome up Chief Dominic Frederick of the Claytley Tenay, and he's got a few words to welcome us to the territory. So Chief Frederick, if you would.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Oh, Lee, do I have to pay you? Election's coming up for chief and council pretty soon, so give out some status cards, honorary status cards. But anyways, thank you for being here. Thank you, Minister, for being here also. Where is he? He's over there, yeah. Playing tricks on me, going back and forth. Thank you for the mayors for being here, from Mcbride, Prince George, MLA Shirley Bonds here, and Regional Chief TG is here. Welcome, Chief TG. And also welcome all of you. Good to be here. It's been a short time since I was here last, and just erecting the sign down there, and showing off the sign. And with that, I want to do some acknowledgments to. This is my notes right here. This is what I bring. I want to acknowledge our elders. There was many elders that had participated in helping with the sign down there and making this possible. That the territory is acknowledged. Mary, one of our elders is Mary Gucci, Josephine Paul, Jeanette Kozak, Veronica Seymour, Peter John, and Edith Frederick. And those are the ones that help with the sign and the language and help with, and also my brother Robert, he was part of that too. He helps with Edie when she gets down and works on the language. We also have part of some of our office people that's been working on it. Chas Sam, Jared Noam, and Rena Zatorsky. Thank you, Rena, for your work. And and also we like to thank our council, Dolene Logan, Vanessa West, Shirley Gustafson, and Clay Poutney for their support, and we like to thank and also honor if there's any Tekeza or Skyzet in the crowd. We also want to honor you and any chiefs or visitors from other communities. We want to honor you. And again, the mayors and MLAs and the minister. And then we want to thank you. And today we're going to sign off an MOU and hopefully that we can build on this MOU so that it's workable for both of us and share the territory with you and many of the visitors from all over Canada and all over the world that do come here. And again, I thank you for being here, and I'm always honored to be here. Thank you.
I came up the trail about 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Everything was fine.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Hi, Philip.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Turn around, Malcolm. Let's do a good
Right on.
back to the camera.
There you go. And you need an
Okay, wonderful.
And it's now my pleasure to introduce to you, if you don't know him already, the Honorable George Heyman, our Minister of Environment and Climate Change Strategy. So, Minister, if you would, please.
Thank you very much. It's great to see everyone here. I want to begin by acknowledging that we're on the traditional territory of the Clay-Claytonais Nation, and I want to thank Chief Dominic Frederick, the members of the nation, the elders, I also want to recognize my friend, Regional Chief Terry Teegee, who's here with us. I've had the pleasure to work with him over the last few months in advancing reconciliation in terms of work and projects that we're undertaking throughout British Columbia. Also joining us here today, Mayor Mark Martin from the village of Mcbride, Mayor Lynn Hall from the Mayor of Prince George, members of the Caledonia Ramblers Hiking Society, and in particular Noel Sr. This is an important day for all of us, I think, for the community. It's amazing looking around. I've had a chance just before we stood up here today to talk, to take a little walk on the boardwalk, and I noticed a couple of things in the boardwalk. First of all, that there is a boardwalk thanks to the Caledonia Ramblers and Noel Sr. A boardwalk that will make it possible for people of all abilities to enjoy Chun Whudujut, and to see the magnificence that we see around us. The other thing that I noticed, and in addition to all the adults, I saw a lot of young people, a lot of children, with their parents, with their grandparents, and it reminded me of when I was a young boy, my parents taking me out in nature, taking me to BC parks, beginning what for me and for all the children here, I hope, will be a sense of connection to the natural environment on which we depend and which sustains us. When I come to a place like Chun Whudujut and see the richness, the tremendous rich biodiversity, the magnificent ancient cedars, this is, in fact, one of the best remaining examples of an inland temperate rainforest. I'm left a bit speechless because there's so few places left where we can make the kind of connection that we will be able to make today and that others will be able to make for generations to come. Because by ensuring the conservation and protection in partnership with the Clarence Boudreau, we will, in fact, be preserving irreplaceable ecosystems for hopefully forever. It's home for a diverse range of wildlife and plant species, but it's also an important place of cultural heritage. And that's why I will be honored and delighted today to sign the Memorandum of Understanding with Chief Frederick. It will provide a strong foundation for a future relationship that we've been building for a few years, a relationship of collaboration, but it will set the stage for developing a strategic joint plan and partnership for the future of this park for decades to come. It will also ensure that the park continues to be accessible for cultural and spiritual practices. The Clarence Boudreau have played a crucial role in protecting your traditional lands, and for that, all of us thank you. Making our parks, I've mentioned the boardwalk, making our parks more accessible to everybody is a focus for our government, and the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change Strategy through BC Parks will continue to work in parks around British Columbia so that people of all abilities and ages will be able to connect with nature. It's a priority. I've mentioned the Caledonia Ramblers. I've mentioned local government, of course, the nation, but we rely on partnerships with all kinds of organizations, the private sector, nonprofits, volunteers, and the public sector to acquire and conserve land, to improve access, and to improve our natural heritage for future generations. The passion of this community and the dedication of this park is truly remarkable. I want to pay some special acknowledgement to MLA for this area, Shirley Bond. I know that this creation of this park has been intensely personally important to her. She has devoted much time and energy to ensuring, working with the nation, that this could come to pass. And I know all of us MLAs on whatever side of the House, when we can make a lasting contribution to our community, that is what will stay with us. So thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Chief Frederick. Thank you, elected officials, volunteers. Thank you, everyone, for your work. You together have established a legacy. Musi Cho.
Prince George Vailmont, Shirley Bond, if you would, Shirley.
Okay, right? Oh, hey, they brought a stool. You guys know me too well. What can I say? Thank you very much for that. Well, I don't normally use the stool, but I will today. I very much want to recognize that we are on the traditional territory of the Lheidli T'enneh. And today is a special day for the Lheidli, but also for all of us. And I want to thank, in particular, Sheila Foster. She won't be happy about me singling her out, but she has helped to arrange all of the artists and the artisans that are here today. And one of the things that was very important to her and to the working group was the emphasis on First Nations culture and place and all of those things. So we want to thank all of the artists, the drummers, everyone who is here today who is going to help us learn about Lheidli territory and about culture and sharing the land. And I'm very grateful for the MOU that's been signed. So thank you to Sheila and for reminding us about the importance of including First Nations and making it a high priority. I want to thank Minister Heyman, and I should tell you that as part of the working group, you know, some of the things that happen in the legislature you see on television, but what you don't see are the relationships that people, that MLAs and ministers have, and that's an important part of getting things done. Minister Heyman was very gracious in allowing me to participate in the working group and being here today and even speaking. You know, those things don't happen all the time, and that speaks to the quality person that George is, and I just want to express my gratitude to you for being here today. First of all, isn't it great when somebody actually comes up here and visits us? That's a big deal. And we are so thankful that you have been working on the MOU as well. I want to also take just a moment as we stand here today to celebrate, to think of the men and women that are, as we speak, on the front lines working with BC Wildfire Service. Our communities have been very, very impacted, and there are men and women who put themselves at risk to keep people and property safe. So I am hoping that we will take a moment and just say thank you to the BC Wildfire Service. It also impacts BC Parks, as you can imagine. And we would not be here today without Peter, Natasha, the entire team at BC Parks who have worked so hard with us to make it happen today. So to Peter, well, I don't know where he is. He's probably running around doing something. There he is. He's holding up Jerry, the mini Jerry the Moose. You've done an amazing job. So just finishing off the thank yous, I want to thank the working group that has representatives from both communities, from organizations. Accessibility is also important. Every British Columbian should have the chance to experience this amazing place. And so to Nancy and Pat Harris and others who are advocates and champions, making sure that we pay attention to accessibility. Thank you for your leadership and for your advice related to the ancient forest as well. We very much appreciate you and all the work that you do. Minister Heyman was right. This is a very personal thing for me because there are some constituent asks that just clutch your heart and don't let go. And this was one of them. And it was because I would get regular visits from people like Noel Sr., Dave, and others, Darwin Coxon from UNBC, and they would march into my office and they would say, we need a Class A park, we need a Class A park, we need a Class A park. And every time they came, they would bring a photo of the ancient forest, and usually it had Darwin's daughter in it. And they hang in my office. I feel like I grew up with her, like, because there's just different ages. But this happens because people have a passion. And I can see Noel, and I know Dave's here and others from the Caledonia Ramblers. You have no idea how many times they and their families made the drive from Prince George to here, bringing supplies, wearing out tires. Noel's wife teased me that he's worn out tires in cars driving back and forth. So today I want to just say to them, thank you for teaching me about these kinds of values and for demonstrating it all the time about being persistent and passionate and rolling up your sleeves and getting the job done. There's a lot of credit. Most of the credit for what we get to see today is because of people like you, and I know everyone here wants to say thank you to you for the great work that you have done. So today we get to celebrate with music and food and partnerships, and it's a very special place. It leaves a mark on your heart. And I hope that one of the people that you're going to hear from today is a good friend of mine, and that's Clarence Boudreau. And he is sitting right in the front row. He is a pioneer. He is a singer. He wrote a song about smoke related to the wildfires, and he says he might give us that a rendition of that later. Who would like to hear that from Clarence later? I know I would. So thank you for being here. Again, Minister, thank you for your generous words, and thank you for making the effort to be here. Let's celebrate the diversity, the biodiversity, and the partnerships that are reflected here in this beautiful, beautiful BC provincial park. Thank you for coming today.
No place that I'd rather be. Just a river, Mother Nature.
There it is. Thank you so much, you guys.
It is pretty stuff.
Okay, so next up we have Mayor Martin from the village of Mcbride. If you would, Mayor.
Yes. There you go. All right, there we go. Okay. Can you hear me? All right. See, this time I actually wrote it in large letters, so I don't need my glasses. First of all, I'd like to recognize that we were on the traditional territories of the Leclerc Dene. Did I say that right? Okay, I'm close. I'm getting better? Okay. Welcome, honored guests, and to everyone who has heard the call to the forest. There are so many people who not only volunteered for 9 months working on the committee to make the grand opening celebration happen, but many volunteers who have donated their time, work, and materials, recognizing the uniqueness of the ancient forest and their vision to preserve the area for all ages for generations to come. My heartfelt thanks to, well, first of all, the logger who chose not to log it, Sheila Foster of the Robson Valley Arts and Cultural Council. Where'd she go? There she is. Sheila first came to me even before the provincial election, she said, okay, we've got the sign up. Now we need to do the grand opening celebration. So, and she has worked tirelessly at this event, arranging the musicians, the artists, the storytellers, the dancers, just to make this happen. Thanks to the province for providing MOT staff and BC Park staff who brought everyone together and coordinated with the working group and the Ledene and took on the immense task of ensuring all the logistical requirements were met. To the Dome Creek group who provided the meals for today's participants, Noel and the Caledonia Ramblers, whose dedication in creating a universal boardwalk so that people with mobility challenges can enjoy the forest just as much as everyone else while preserving the unique biodiversity of the area. Dr. Darwin Coxon and UNBC, whose work has led to the discovery of plant species that were thought to be extinct or endangered, and other species that have yet to be identified. To Diversified for donating the use of their accessible buses and staff and providing free transportation to and from Prince George and Mcbride for celebration participants, many of whom this is their first visit to the ancient forest. To Engage Sports North, Tourism PG, Spinal Cord Injury BC, who assisted in the marketing and the promotion of the celebration. To Director Daniel Allen and the Regional District of Fraser Fort George Board of Directors in the Village of Mcbride for donating and volunteering to ensure that the celebration is successful. And to the many, many volunteers who over the years have remained committed to their efforts and energy to preserving this wonderful and unique place. If only these trees could talk. They would speak of a time immemorial when our First Nations hunted, gathered, and lived with a deep connection to the land and all it provided. It would speak of a time when pioneers followed the railway and settled in the valley, farmed the land, hunted, trapped, and foraged in the forest. And of the visitors who recognized the value of the forest and sought to protect it while still enjoying it. So thank you for hearing the call to the forest. It is my sincerest hope that this new tradition continues and we continue to gather here, share our culture, our music, our history. So enjoy the day. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Martin. All right, moving right along. So next up we have Mayor Hall from Prince George, if you would, Mayor. I don't think we need the step stool for him.
I was just going to grab that stool. How high do you want to be? Exactly. I want to make sure that Shirley feels at home.
I wanted to get a picture of that.
So thanks very much, everyone. And Chief, I want to recognize that we're on the traditional territory of the Claytley Tenay. I want to thank you and your council for the partnership and the great relationship that we've fostered over the last number of years. I want to recognize, too, my council colleagues that are with me today. Councillor Garth Frizzell is here. Garth is there, and Councillor Murray Krause is here. Welcome, gentlemen. So I don't know if any of you have heard about the Wild Hogs or seen that show, 6 motorcycle guys. Well, me and the boys rode out here today. And so Garth's wife and my wife followed in warm, balmy vehicles. We made the mistake as a group of veteran motorcyclists. We checked the temperature, we checked to see if it was going to rain, and there was only 20% chance of rain, and we thought those are pretty good odds. But we forgot to check the temperature, and I think it was about 4 degrees when we left home. So we're a little chilly, but we're grateful to be here. And for me, I'm standing between you and I think about 12 boxes of cake. So I'm going to keep it short. It's very easy for me to follow a number of speakers, particularly Shirley, when I can just really say ditto. And I think, Shirley, I did that a couple of times. The thanks have already been sent on behalf of other speakers. Minister, I want to welcome you here to Prince George and the Valley. It's a beautiful, beautiful valley. And we had that view today firsthand when we rode out. And I think that the folks that you see here today really show a commitment to this project. And not to single anybody out, but there are people who have already been identified, like Noel Sr., Ron Newcomb from my Rotary Club in Prince George, and people like that who really have stepped up, and the Caledonia Ramblers. And Shirley, I know this has been really something of a piece of work and art for you for years and years and years. So thank you very much for your commitment to this on behalf of the city of Prince George and the folks here in the Valley. You know, it's just an absolutely spectacular site, and not only are we proud of it in Prince George and throughout to Valemount, Mcbride, all areas in between, but this is really, in my estimation, a national jewel. This is a site that should be advertised around the world. It's an absolutely spectacular spot to come to, easy to get to, easy to walk through, and the sites are just simply unbelievable. I want to recognize as well Chief TG, who is here with us. Chief, thank you very much for being here today. Shirley made the comment about Parks Branch in BC Wildfire Services, and I too would like you to keep those folks in mind. They have done a tremendous amount of work for us. We've again seen thousands of evacuees in Prince George. Chief TG and I and Chief John have been together, and Shirley at the Wildfire Evacuation Center. So keep those folks in mind. They do great work, and not only do they work on that part, and it's an ugly part of what's happening right now in our province, but they also make sure that they maintain our parks and provide for festivities and celebrations like we're having today. So with that, I'm going to say again, thank you very much. Recognize the folks that have been great partners, and every one of you that are here today are partners in what has transpired over the last number of years, and I cannot thank you enough on behalf of Council. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor. Well done. So, moving right along, next up we have, I'm not sure whether Noel Sr. is here. He might be. Noel, you are here. Noel, if you'd come up, please, and say a few words. The hero of the day here, I would say. He's the guy that keeps us all together, and so humbly, and I wouldn't dare challenge him to a foot race or packing a ton of cedar up the mountainside. Do you need the stairs or anything here? Oh, or, no.
Let's see how this is. How's that?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Story time. I've got a few words for you. First of all, thank you very much for coming. We're here today to celebrate the unique nature of the ancient forest, its resilience, its magnificence, and its beauty. The list of those who saw how rare and special the ancient forest was and contributed to the efforts to protect it is a very long list, and we're so happy to see so many of you here today to share this celebration. Your years of hard work has created access for thousands of people to what is now known as the Ancient Forest, Chun Whudujut Provincial Park, and Protected Area. Those that have built and maintained the trails are continuing as stewards of the ancient forest with the goal of maintaining accessibility while protecting the integrity of the forest, and you'll see evidence of these efforts as you walk the trails today. What better way do we have to celebrate than through music, dance, art, and storytelling? Perhaps the music reverberating throughout the forest today could symbolize a big thank you from the ancient cedars for caring enough to save them and the forest they call home. We started with beauty, and we will end with beauty by saying that the spirits of the young and old soar at the ancient forest by the experience of being at one with the timeless natural beauty of the forest, which has silently, calmly, and gracefully endured all natural threats to its existence. We are indeed here to rejoice with the knowledge that the ancient forest will continue to inspire generations to come. Thanks to all those whose efforts led us here today and gave us a reason to celebrate. Thank you.
I'll give it to him later. I have something for you. Jerry says hi. Yeah, thank you very much, Noel. Unbelievable amount of hours you and the Caledonia Ramblers have put in here. It's so impressive. So I think that's getting very near the end of what I have to say and do as your MC. It's been an honor and a privilege to be the MC for today. Thank you all very much. I think I'm supposed to do some kind of a call to the forest now, but as we do a call to the forest, you'll check around here. You see there's cupcakes and various different things over there. There's all kinds of things to do. There's a bit of a roadmap on what's going on here today between music and so on. And I have to point out and take a little credit for this because Clarence Boudreau, that wrote the smoking song there, Holy Smoke, he's my dad, right? So, I'm quite proud of him. So maybe what we'll do is later we'll get him up here with Keith Monroe and the gang and get him a microphone and he can sing Holy Smoke for you. How does that sound? He tells me he had nothing else to do in the house because he was locked in because of the smoke, so why not write a song about smoke? Isn't that kind of it? Yeah, there you go. All right. Okay, well, I just, before I go, I also want to point out, and please do go over and enjoy the newly constructed picnic shelter. And it's an amazing shelter. It was designed by the Whittick Center, and with the UMBC, and it was free of charge to the park. They were happy to do it, did an excellent job. The timber framers, I don't know where Peter is, I'm going to get this screwed up because it's not written down, but the Timber Framers Guild, or whoever they are in BC, timber framers and log builders, put in an enormous amount of time, as did the Claytley Tenay. Claytley Tenay? Dom, were you out here? Yeah. You helped design it, right? You didn't? Well, we're going to put you to work later. Caledonia Ramblers, your parts will come. So in time you will see some Claytley Tenay cultural kinds of pieces in there. Not sure what it's going to look like. There'll be signage or something like that, so stay tuned for that. But please do go enjoy that. And when the sun comes out, you can look out the end of that through that gable end and you'll see the mountains over above Penny, where I grew up. And of course my dad, he grew up there too. Well, he never really grew up, but he lived there. Okay, so truly that is it for me. Thank you to everybody. Have great fun today. And again, big shout out to those that put this all together and make it happen. So thank you very much. Have a great day.
$200-mile round trip to the pet store. His birthday treat, including a visit to the dentist for expediency's sake.
Is this your first time knitting in the forest?
It's knitting, yes, but I've been here at least 12 times.
But never knitting?
Not knitting. It's usually with me, yes.
No, you don't have to duck, please. Go ahead. Thank you.
But I think it was an awesome idea, and I think we should be here all the time.
How you doing, Gandalf?
Welcome to the ancient forest. You may pass. You may freely pass.
We lost half our crew.
It's ready.
You may pass. You may freely pass.
Yes, this way. This way to the forest. Sure, it's a forest.
We're here with Noel Sr., who is with the Caledonia Ramblers on a very, very special day, which is the official opening of the ancient forest. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
So I wanted to get a little bit of history. I know this is a project that the Caledonia Ramblers began. Can you tell me what's the background of how the ancient forest as a park came to be?
Well, the Ramblers have been hiking the Driscoll Ridge area for several years. But because it's a jungle in here, or was, we would come out more in the wintertime than the summertime. And but one day in the fall, we were doing a hike on Driscoll Ridge, and one of our hikers said, "You know what? We should build a trail." So we put an application in to build a 15-kilometer backcountry trail on Driscoll Ridge. And the folks who live in the area here, Dome Creek, Crescent Spur, Mcbride, and so on, they heard the Ramblers were building a trail, and the trailhead was going to be a gravel pit where they anticipated having a nature trail begin at the same spot. So we met them in spring 2006 because they wanted to show us something special. So they actually took us for a walk around what actually has become the Ancient Forest Trail. And so the Ramblers put an application in to amend our earlier application for the backcountry trail to include this area as a nature trail. We learned at the same time that it was block 486. It was an approved cut block. But we thought, and some of the bigger trees had ribbons around them. And we asked the folks from Dome Creek, what's the idea of the ribbons? Well, if we can't stop the forest being logged, we would like the licensee to leave these standing. Well, that's kind of heartbreaking, really, because you can't do that. You can't come into a forest like this and leave some of those big cedars standing. You know, they're not going to survive if you log all the others. But anyway, we put the application in, and in spring 2006, we got the okay to build a 15-kilometer backcountry trail, the Driscoll Trail, and the Ancient Forest Trail, and that's how it began. And
so it started as just a nature trail, and it's kind of evolved into something much larger, would you say?
Yeah, well, we built many trails, but most of the trails we build they're not heavily used. They're backcountry trails. There's only a certain segment of the population use them, but that didn't happen in this case. The accessibility, it was really good in a way because it's right beside the highway, and it's an easy hike, relatively easy, so it became very, very popular very, very quickly. And after a couple of years, we had something like 6,000 or 7,000 visitors. But because of my background, working with children and adults with special needs, I was more sensitive to what they were missing. And so I thought a boardwalk is what was needed. And that's how it began.
Well, we're here inside, deep inside the ancient forest with Sheila Foster, who is the art coordinator, coordinated all of the artwork and artists for this project. Sheila, this is a spectacular day.
Oh, thank you. I agree. It is spectacular. It's wonderful to see so many people enjoying all of the forest, but I really like to see those who are have mobility challenges using the Universal Boardwalk and hiking the trail and seeing all the artists. It's quite wonderful.
So how did this project come together?
Well, it was a long process because 2 years ago with MLA Shirley Bond, we looked into having an official opening for this park, but then the election happened, and though Shirley is still our MLA, she was not part of government. So it was a process of getting the new government interested, and Minister Hyman, the Minister of Environment, yes, seemed to come on board quite quickly, and then the whole BC Parks branch got involved, and from there it was the Cletla and the village of Mcbride, the city of Prince George, the Caledonia Ramblers, the UNBC, many groups, and I haven't mentioned them all, just wanted to get involved, and so through a process of negotiating and coordinating and cooperating mostly, the miracle happened. It's really quite wonderful.
And so what we have here today is a beautiful boardwalk, and on the beautiful boardwalk are artists and musicians. There was someone even reading from a book here as well. Tell us about how that idea came to be and how you got the artists to agree.
Well, getting the artists to agree was really quite easy because I think they were just keen to participate in this event. And initially I was interested in having Robson Valley artists represented because we are the Robson Valley, and Prince George people too got on board, and the Cletla artists and drummers and all of the folks. We have actors and musicians and visual artists and dancers, some Highland dancing. We have all kinds of things happening in the forest. It's very exciting. It's really, really nice, and it's working out very well. I think really people are appreciating this wonderful park.
Well, this is a special place, and having all those things make it even more special. Hopefully people don't get so used to it that you have to have them here all the time.
Well, that would be okay too. I'd love to have an annual event here, but I don't know if that will happen. This is the start, and it's quite a wonderful beginning.
Well, thank you very much for helping to coordinate all this and bringing everybody in and making it such a special day.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
And of course, once we got the Universal Boardwalk, the general public, the increase in general public visitors rose as well. You know, not just people with mobility issues and so on. And then of course, we're getting we got to a point where we're getting 15,000 to 16,000 visitors a year, and the trail couldn't handle that. You know, erosion was taking place. There was a lot of problems with that many people, so we were obliged to build another boardwalk around the entire trail. So we've got something like 2.5 kilometers of boardwalk here.
And all done on a volunteer basis.
It's all volunteer, like 18,000 hours.
Wow. And how did it take the last and final step, which is become a park? As MLA Shirley Bond mentioned, we did a lot of canvassing with not only with MLA Bond, but with industry, and industry was supportive, and so I mean, and the Ministry of Forests, you know, the Ministry of Forests were in support of it. They realized the value, you know, the being more sensitive to values other than logging, you know, and
I mean, and that's what's happened here. The spin-off from the visitors to the ancient forest is something like $450,000 a year, and that's every year, and it's growing every year. And so, these trees are certainly valuable, just the way they are.
Well, it's a very, very special place, and I have to ask you, how does it make you feel personally to see this come to fruition?
Well, it actually fills me with a lot of emotion, and I'm just looking at my son, who's coming down from the boardwalk, and he's dancing and singing, and that's wonderful to see that. When I look over here and I see a scooter, a wheelchair, with that's what it was all about. We wanted everyone to be able to see this wonderful ancient forest. It's just a tremendous place, and we want to share it. And we're happy to share it.
Well, you certainly have built a wonderful place that is inclusive for all, and we thank you and the Ramblers for your efforts.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you.